Uh, have you ever wanted something so badly that you would actually lie for it?
Or steal from your own family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Or taking it even further, what if you were backed into a corner, completely terrified, and the only way out was to commit outright treason and send innocent people to their deaths?
It sounds extreme, but it happens.
It does. Today you're going to hear a story where a seemingly innocent, simple childhood wish for a shiny necklace spirals into a massive, suffocating web of debt, deceit, and crime.
It is a wild ride.
Truly.
Yeah.
But before we jump into this incredible psychological maze, a very quick favor. If you are enjoying these detailed explorations and want to support what we do, please hit that subscribe button for the Simplified Summary channel.
And share this deep dive with your friends, too.
Yes, please. Humbly, it is the absolute best way to help the channel grow, and it ensures you get more of these intense, detailed breakdowns.
It really does make a massive difference, and you are definitely going to want to share this one because the story we are unpacking today is just a masterpiece of human psychology.
I am so ready for this. We are looking at a classic, right?
Yes, we are immersing ourselves in the legendary novel Gaban, which translates to embezzlement. It was written by the master storyteller of Indian literature, Munshi Premchand.
Right. And to be clear to you listening, we aren't just going to recite a basic plot summary today.
No, definitely not.
We are going to deconstruct this entire narrative to see how societal pressure, the desperate desire for status, and just a harmless love for jewelry can entirely dismantle a person's moral compass.
Because Premchand is often called the Dickens or the Tolstoy of Hindi literature.
That is high praise.
It is, but it is earned. He doesn't just write crime thrillers. He writes these profound autopsies of human frailty and ego.
He looks at how tiny, almost unnoticeable compromises we make with our own integrity can eventually snowball into an avalanche that completely buries us.
Exactly. So to understand the avalanche, we really need to start with the snowflake.
Take us back to the very beginning then. Put us in the scene.
Okay, so imagine you are in northern India. It is the monsoon season, specifically the month of Sawan. The imagery Premchand uses is incredibly vivid and beautiful. Picture golden clouds hanging heavy in the sky. There is a light, continuous cooling drizzle after months of brutal summer heat.
Sounds perfect.
It is. Women and young girls are out in a lush mango orchard, swinging on tree swings, singing traditional folk songs. It is this moment of pure, unadulterated innocence and perfect harmony with nature.
Right.
But then walking right into this serene Eden comes a bisari.
Obisadi.
A traveling peddler.
Ah, a guy carrying a literal box of temptations.
Precisely. He arrives carrying this wooden box full of cheap, shiny toys and fake jewelry.
Yeah.
And this moment right here is the inciting incident of the entire tragedy. The peddler opening his box is essentially opening Pandora's box for our main character.
Who's?
A young girl named Jalpa. She is just a child, but she is absolutely captivated by this one specific item.
What is it?
It's a fake glittering necklace called a Chandrahaar,
Chandrahaar.
which translates beautifully to moon necklace. Now it is just made of cheap glass and brass, but to her young eyes, it is the most magnificent thing in the world.
So she wants it immediately.
Oh, she immediately starts begging her mother, Manonki, to buy it for her.
Which is such a universal childhood experience. You see the shiny toy, you throw the tantrum.
Right.
But her mother is practical, isn't she?
She is. She looks at it and says, look, it's expensive for what it is, and the shine is going to fade in 4 days. It's fake gold.
Makes sense.
But then the peddler delivers a sales pitch that basically alters the trajectory of this little girl's entire life.
What does he say?
He is a great salesman. He looks at the mother and says, in 4 days, the daughter will get a real Chandrahaar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he is flattering them, implying that Jalpa will make a grand marriage.
And that works.
It strikes a huge chord with the mother's own pride and hopes for her daughter. She caves, she buys the cheap glass necklace, and Jalpa is over the moon.
Of course she is.
She spends the next few days dancing around the village, wearing it, showing it off to everyone. It becomes her most prized possession.
But the fake necklace is just the primer, isn't it? Because the stakes get raised pretty quickly in that household.
They really do, because later on, Jalpa's father manages to buy her mother a real magnificent Chandrahaar.
Oh, wow. So she sees the real deal.
Exactly. And we need to pause here to give you, the listener, some crucial economic context. This real necklace is worth 600 rupees.
600 rupees.
In early 20th century colonial India, 600 rupees isn't just a lot of money. It is an astronomical, life-changing sum.
Really? How much was a normal salary then?
To put it in perspective, a comfortable middle-class monthly salary back then might be around 30 or 40 rupees.
Wait, 30 or 40, so a 600 rupee necklace.
Represents years and years of pure wages.
That is insane. Naturally, Jalpa immediately wants one too.
Of course she does. She has been primed to love the design, and now she sees the real heavy gold version on her mother.
But her mother knows they could never ever afford a second one.
Right. So to pacify her, she tells Jalpa, don't worry, you will get your real Chandrahaar from your future in-laws when you get married.
Oof.
And this is where the psychological trap snaps shut. This is a crucial imprint on Jalpa's young mind.
Because it links the jewelry to her future.
Exactly. The necklace completely ceases to be just a piece of jewelry. It transforms into a symbol of her future worth, a guaranteed marker of her husband's love, and the ultimate proof of her societal status.
She fundamentally believes that her true value as a woman and a wife will be validated by receiving this specific piece of gold.
Yes.
That is so heavy to place on a kid's shoulders, even inadvertently.
Very heavy.
But you mentioned something earlier that I really want to dig into. You said a comfortable salary was maybe 30 or 40 rupees, and this necklace was 600.
Right.
Jalpa's father, Deen Dayal, is an agent, a mukpar for a local landlord. Officially, his salary is a meager 5 rupees a month.
5 rupees, yes.
You can't even buy basic groceries for a family with that, let alone a 600 rupee gold necklace. Yet he lives like an absolute king.
He does.
He has horses, cows, servants, and massive social power. People in the village are terrified of him. How on earth is a guy making 5 rupees a month living like a medieval lord?
Dark money. Unadulterated, ruthless corruption.
Wow.
Deen Dayal uses his position as an agent for the landlord to extort, bribe, and oppress the local tenant farmers. He skims off the top. He takes a cut of absolutely everything.
And people just let him.
He enforces his will with violence. There's even a dark mention in the text that he had a poor man beaten so badly over a dispute that the man actually died.
That is horrifying.
It is. Deen Dayal operates entirely in the shadows, prioritizing these outward aggressive displays of wealth funded entirely by illicit money.
So he buys his wife that real 600 rupee necklace, not out of pure romance, but to show off his status to the village, despite his official poverty on paper.
Exactly. It is a power move.
It is the classic mobster mentality.
Yeah.
The official tax return says you make minimum wage, but you are driving a Rolls Royce.
That is a perfect modern comparison.
Now, I know Premchand is a master of contrast, so who is the counterweight to this corrupt father figure?
The perfect counterweight is the man who is destined to become Jalpa's father-in-law, a man named Dayanath.
Okay, tell me about Dayanath.
Dayanath is a court clerk. He earns 50 rupees a month.
So officially he makes 10 times what Deen Dayal makes.
Yes, 10 times the official salary. But Dayanath is strictly, rigidly, almost painfully honest.
Painfully honest is an interesting way to put it. Why painfully?
Because Dayanath has spent 30 years working in the judicial courts. He has seen the absolute horrors of bribery firsthand.
What kind of horrors?
He has watched families get completely ruined, people thrown into squalid jails, and generations destroyed by the pursuit of illicit money.
So he is traumatized by it.
Completely. Because of that trauma, he refuses to take a single illegal penny. If someone leaves a bribe on his desk, he actually chases them down to return it. But the tragic irony that Premchand presents here is that Dayanath's rigid honesty means his family lives in near poverty.
Because 50 rupees doesn't go very far for a whole family.
It doesn't. They struggle for basic necessities. They wear worn-out clothes. His wife has almost no jewelry and deeply resents him for it. And they are constantly stressed about where their next meal is coming from.
So you have Deen Dayal, who is completely corrupt, but lives comfortably and is revered, or at least feared by society.
Right.
And then you have Dayanath, who is morally pure, but miserable and constantly battling the indignity of poverty. That is quite the moral gray area to establish.
It is brilliant framing. Premchand is asking you to consider what society actually rewards, and into this complicated moral landscape we introduce the next generation. Enter Ramanath, Dayanath's son, and Jalpa's future husband.
Oh boy. Ramanath. I almost don't know where to start with this guy.
He is quite the character.
He's the son of the painfully honest, starving clerk. But how would you describe his approach to life?
He is the absolute physical embodiment of a hollow facade.
Hollow facade?
Yeah. Ramanath dropped out of college after just 2 months. Why? Because he simply couldn't handle the hard work.
Unbelievable.
He is unemployed. He spends his days playing chess in the park, strolling around town, and intensely obsessing over superficial appearances.
I read this incredible detail about him in the source. Because his father, his poor Ramanath, doesn't actually own nice things.
No, he doesn't.
So he borrows expensive clothes, imported watches, and leather shoes from his wealthier friends so he can walk around town looking like a wealthy aristocrat.
He does.
And he actually has the nerve to call this cooperative fashion.
Cooperative fashion. That phrase is such a biting critique by Premchand.
It really is.
If you think about it, Ramanath is the 1930s equivalent of a modern social media influencer who rents a parked private jet for an hour just to take photos for the internet.
Yes, perfectly said.
Yeah.
He represents a profoundly hollow generation that is entirely focused on outward projection rather than inner substance.
He desperately wants the respect, the fear, and the admiration that comes with wealth, the kind of respect Jalpa's father gets.
But he has absolutely zero interest in putting in the actual grueling work required to earn it.
None whatsoever. His entire identity is a house of cards built on borrowed silk shirts.
He is literally the human version of that fake glass necklace Jalpa loved as a kid.
That is a great connection.
Glittering and impressive on the outside,
Hmm.
but completely worthless on the inside.
Exactly.
So we have Jalpa, who believes her self-worth is tied to receiving massive amounts of expensive gold.
Right.
And we have Ramanath, who is a broke, unemployed college dropout, pretending to be a wealthy prince.
A collision course.
It sounds like a match made in hell. How do these two end up getting married? Because Dianath, the honest clerk, knows exactly how broke they are. He surely wouldn't agree to a high society wedding.
He fights it initially. Dianath knows he cannot afford the customs and the dowry expectations that come with marrying into a seemingly wealthy family like Deendale's.
So who pushes it through?
Dianath's wife, Yogeshwari. She has been desperate for a daughter-in-law to help around the house and to elevate their social standing.
Nice.
She grinds Dianath down. She forces him to agree to the match, arguing that Deendale is wealthy and will surely provide a huge dowry that will solve all their financial problems.
And Deendale does send money, right? He gives a very generous 1,000 rupees for the Tika ceremony, which is a pre-wedding ritual.
He does.
But from what I understand, instead of acting like a financial cushion, this money acts like a lit match in a fireworks factory.
That is exactly what happens, because Dianath receives this grand 1,000 rupee gesture from the corrupt Deendale, and suddenly his pride flares up.
Even the honest guy has an ego.
Yes, he feels this overwhelming societal pressure that he must match or exceed this display of wealth to save face for his own family.
Wow.
Here is a man who has lived frugally for 30 years, suddenly abandoning all his principles because he gets swept up in the intoxicating need to show off to his new, wealthy-seeming in-laws.
And I am guessing Ramanath, our cooperative fashion king, isn't exactly pushing for a modest backyard ceremony either.
Are you kidding? Ramanath insists on the most ostentatious, over-the-top wedding humanly possible.
What does he ask for?
He demands a grand procession. He refuses the traditional palanquin and demands an imported motor car.
A motor car back then. That had to be rare.
Very rare and very expensive. He wants premium fireworks that will light up the entire sky and top-tier brass bands. He wants the bride's village to be absolutely blinded by his family's supposed wealth.
But they don't have any wealth. They make 50 rupees a month. So how do they pay for the motor cars and the fireworks and, crucially, the heavy bridal jewelry that is expected of the groom's family?
Dianath does the unthinkable for a man of his lifelong principles.
Don't tell me he takes a bribe.
No, he doesn't take a bribe, but he goes to a local jeweler and takes out a massive 3,000 rupee loan, buying all the wedding jewelry entirely on credit.
Wait, hold on. Let's do the math on that for the listeners so they really feel the gravity of this.
It is brutal.
Dianath earns 50 rupees a month. A 3,000 rupee loan is 60 months. That is 5 solid years of his entire gross salary.
5 years of every penny he makes.
In modern terms, if you make $60,000 a year, that is like taking out a $300,000 high-interest personal loan just to buy jewelry and fireworks for a one-night party.
It is.
That isn't just irresponsible. That is absolute financial suicide.
It is madness driven completely by ego. And it all leads to the wedding night, which should be the pinnacle of joy for these families. But it instantly turns into a profound psychological heartbreak.
Set the scene for us. What happens when the bride's family finally gets to see the fruits of this insane loan?
The tension in the room is palpable. The groom's family presents the bridal jewelry to the women of Jalpa's village.
A big reveal.
Yes, it's a deeply ingrained societal ritual of validation. The women gather around acting like expert diamond appraisers. They are inspecting every single piece, weighing them in their hands, praising the purity of the gold and the intricate craftsmanship.
And where is Jalpa during all this?
Jalpa, the young bride, is hiding in the shadows of the room, listening to every single word.
She must be holding her breath.
She is. And she doesn't care about the heavy bracelets or the earrings or the rings. She is waiting to hear them call out just one specific word.
She is waiting to hear the name Chandrahaar.
Oh, exactly. But the word never comes. The women finish their inspection and pack the jewelry away.
So Dayanath, despite ruining his family's financial future, couldn't afford it.
He simply couldn't afford the piece de resistance. The one thing Jalpa has dreamed of since she was a little girl playing in the monsoon rain, the one thing she believes validates her worth as a human being, is missing.
That is crushing. How does she react? Does she throw a fit?
It's much deeper than a fit. Her reaction is devastatingly quiet and profound. She retreats to her room completely shattered.
Yeah.
And in a moment of intense grief, she takes a beloved statue of Lord Shiva that she has worshipped since childhood and she breaks it.
Wow. Breaking a religious idol. That is a massive statement.
It really is. She isn't just throwing a tantrum. She is mourning the absolute death of a lifelong dream.
Because it feels like a rejection.
Yes. The necklace was her guarantee of being valued, and its absence feels like a fundamental rejection by her new husband and his family.
So what does she do with the other jewelry?
She makes a solemn vow right then and there never to wear any of the other jewels they brought her. She puts them in a box and shoves them away.
This shattered childhood dream and the resentment it breeds really sets the psychological stage for the nightmare that is about to unfold.
It's the foundation of the disaster.
So the fireworks fade, the guests go home, and the terrifying reality of that massive debt sets in.
The hangover.
Exactly. Because the very next morning, the hangover from this wedding is brutal. The jeweler who gave Dayanath the 3,000 rupee line of credit comes knocking.
He wants his money.
He wants his first installment, a 1,000 rupee payment, immediately. Dayanath is totally cornered. He has absolutely no liquid cash. What is his plan to get out of this?
Dayanath suggests the most practical, albeit deeply humiliating solution. He pulls Ramanath aside and says, like, we made a mistake.
Which is an understatement.
Right. He says, we need to go to Jalpa, explain the situation, and ask her to quietly return some of her wedding jewelry so we can clear this immediate debt and avoid public ruin.
I mean, it's awkward as hell taking back a wedding gift days after the ceremony. It's the only logical move.
It is.
But Ramanath refuses to do it right. Why is he so vehemently opposed to just talking to his new wife?
Because of the massive web of lies he has already spun, and we really have to analyze the psychology of his refusal here.
Okay, let's do it.
It has absolutely nothing to do with love or respecting Jalpa's property. It is entirely about self-preservation.
How so?
You see, before the wedding, when they were courting, Ramanath had spun these elaborate, fantastical lies to Jalpa about his family's immense wealth.
What kind of lies did he tell her?
He told her they owned vast estates in the country. He claimed they had thousands of rupees sitting in bank accounts.
Even though they had nothing.
Right. He even lied about their rent, claiming they paid a fraction of what they actually did just to make it seem like they owned the property. He systematically built himself up in her eyes as a wealthy, careless prince.
Ah, I see. So if he goes to her now, just days after the wedding, and begs for her jewelry to pay off a desperate debt, his entire carefully constructed facade completely collapses.
Precisely. He would be instantly exposed as a fraud, a liar and a pauper.
So his ego is literally writing checks. His reality can't cash. He refuses to ask her. But the jeweler is still sitting in the living room demanding his money.
The clock is ticking.
How does Ramanath get the cash?
He comes up with a solution so morally repugnant that it shocks even his father.
What does he do?
Ramanath decides that instead of asking her, he will wait until nightfall, sneak into his own bedroom, and secretly steal the jewelry from his own sleeping wife.
You have got to be kidding me. His own wife.
Yes. His plan is to steal the jewelry, hand it over to the jeweler the next morning, and then put on a dramatic performance pretending that a thief broke into the house during the night.
That is sociopathic. How does his rigidly honest father, Dayanath, react to this plan?
Dayanath is horrified. He is physically sickened. He cannot believe that his own flesh and blood would betray his new daughter-in-law in such a cowardly, deceitful way.
But Ramanath doesn't back down.
No, Ramanath, in a display of breathtaking narcissism, actually turns it around and blames his father.
How can he blame his father?
He says to Dinath, "You are the one who took out the massive loan to show off. You are the one who put this basket of troubles on my head. I'm just fixing your mess."
The mental gymnastics there are astounding. I really want to dig into the mindset of a guy who thinks this is a viable option.
But it's twisted.
Because honestly, who hasn't bought something they couldn't afford just to impress people at a party? We've all flexed a little too hard. But Ramanath takes it to a terrifying extreme.
It's the fragility of the male ego taken to its absolute limit. Ramanath is a man who would literally rather violate his wife's deepest trust, sneak around his own home like a petty burglar, and steal her personal possessions, than look her in the eye and simply admit, "I am not the wealthy man I pretended to be."
Wow.
His entire sense of self is so entirely dependent on her perception of him as a wealthy provider that he is willing to commit a profound moral and legal transgression just to protect an illusion.
He is actively choosing to become a thief rather than be seen as poor.
That is the core of his character.
And so he does it. He steals the jewelry, they fake the break-in. Jalpa is devastated all over again,
Right.
and the immediate debt is paid.
Yes.
But stealing the jewelry is just a Band-Aid on a bullet wound, isn't it? Because he still has to maintain the lie of his wealth every single day.
He can't escape it.
He needs actual steady income.
Which brings us to the slippery slope of his career. He finally gets off the park benches and gets a job. Finally, yes. A well-connected family friend, a man named Ramesh Babu, takes pity on the family and gets Ramanath a position at the local municipal board.
And what does he do there?
His job is to sit at a toll booth and collect taxes from merchants bringing goods into the city.
And what is the glorious salary for this government position?
An incredibly measly 30 rupees a month. It's almost nothing.
Wow.
But when Ramesh Babu hands him the appointment letter, he gives Ramanath a knowing wink and hints that it's a position with significant Upriya Amdani.
Upri Amdani, extra income? He means bribes.
Exactly. Bribes, extortions, under-the-table payments.
Now, consider the contrast with his father again. Dhyanath spent 30 years watching millions of rupees pass through the courts and never took a single corrupt penny, even when his children were hungry.
Right.
Ramanath gets handed a job where bribery is simply implied as a possibility, and he embraces it immediately, enthusiastically, and without a single microsecond of moral hesitation.
None at all.
How does he justify it to himself so quickly? He just stole from his wife, now he's shaking down merchants. Does he feel any guilt at all?
He rationalizes it through a twisted sense of romantic duty.
Romantic duty.
Yeah. He tells himself, "I am not doing this because I am greedy. I need this bribe money so I can finally buy Jalpa the Chandrahaar I promised her and wipe away the tears from the night the fake thief came."
Oh my God.
He frames his descent into corruption as a noble act of love, completely ignoring that it's actually about restoring his own shattered ego and maintaining his fake image.
That is the most dangerous kind of rationalization. When you convince yourself that your sins are actually sacrifices for someone else.
It allows you to do terrible things.
And man, he takes to corruption like a duck to water, doesn't he?
He escalates at a terrifying speed. He realizes that to get bribes, he needs to be feared.
Oh, what does he do?
He establishes this incredibly strict, intimidating, tyrannical persona at the toll booth. He delays carts, he nitpicks paperwork, he acts completely unreasonable until the merchants quietly slip him cash just to avoid losing a day's work. He's basically running a mafia checkpoint.
Effectively, yes. And within the office, he becomes the most popular guy around because he generously shares his extorted bribe money with the other clerks.
Spreading the wealth.
Exactly. He buys them snacks, treats them to tea. He's absolutely intoxicated by this new power and the illusion of immense wealth it brings.
And what do you think is the very first thing he does when he realizes he has a steady stream of dirty money coming in?
Take a wild guess.
I'm gonna guess he doesn't put it in a savings account. Does he go back to the jeweler?
He goes straight to the most prominent, expensive jeweler in the city, a man named Gengu.
Okay.
But he doesn't just buy a modest necklace. High on the prospect of endless future bribes, he buys a magnificent, heavy 400 rupee Chandrahaar plus a 250 rupee gold headpiece.
Let me guess. On credit again?
Entirely on credit.
Why?
He hasn't actually collected enough bribe money to pay for it yet. He is just assuming he can shake down enough poor merchants in the coming months to cover the bill.
Amazing. He takes this massive haul of gold home and presents it to Jalpa with huge fanfare. He plays the triumphant hero.
And Jalpa must be thrilled, right? This is the moment she's waited for her entire life.
She is ecstatic. But the tragedy is that her joy is built on a foundation of quicksand.
Because he owes so much money.
Yes. And the thing about maintaining an illusion of wealth is that it's a beast that demands constant daily feeding. You can't just buy the grand necklace and then go back to eating lentils and wearing old clothes.
Which brings us to the ultimate modern flex gone wrong. The Tea Party.
Yes, the Tea Party.
Tell me about this party and who Rattan is, because she seems like a major catalyst for the disaster that follows.
Rattan is a fascinating character. She is the young, beautiful wife of a very wealthy, much older, and quite sick lawyer.
Okay.
Jalpa and Ramanath are invited to a high society tea party at their massive estate.
That sounds nice.
Not for Ramanath. For him, this invitation is a crisis. He is absolutely paralyzed by the thought that Jalpa, despite her new necklace, will look poor and unrefined next to Rattan and her wealthy socialite friends.
So the illusion has to be upgraded for the new audience.
Exactly. To maintain the facade of wealth for just one single evening, to impress a group of high society people who fundamentally do not matter to their daily lives, Ramanath goes right back into the financial abyss.
He goes shopping.
He runs to the merchants and buys Jalpa incredibly expensive new silk saris and a luxury imported wristwatch, again, entirely on credit.
He is digging a grave of debt just to curate a specific image for 3 hours.
It's the definition of keeping up with the Joneses, but the Joneses are millionaires and you work a toll booth.
So they go to the party, they look fabulous, the flex is successful, but then the web snaps. What happens with Rattan at the party?
During the party, Rattan admires a beautiful, intricate gold bracelet that Jalpa is wearing. Rattan loves it so much that she literally hands Ramanath a stack of real hard cash, hundreds of rupees, and asks him as a favor to take the cash to his jeweler and get a duplicate bracelet made for her.
Okay, so he's just running an errand. He has the cash in hand, simple. But I'm guessing Ramanath doesn't walk into the jeweler and order Rattan's bracelet.
He doesn't even get close. Because his aggressive creditors, Gangu the jeweler who sold him the Chandrahaar, the merchants who sold him the silk saris for the party, are breathing down his neck.
They want to get paid.
They have realized he is just a clerk making 30 rupees a month, and they are panicking. They are threatening to show up at his father's house and his government office to publicly expose him as a fraud.
Oh, that is his worst nightmare. Public humiliation.
Panicked and totally cornered by his own lies, Ramanath looks at the stack of cash Rattan gave him. He takes her money and uses it to pay off his own personal debts to the jewelers.
He stole from his wife, and now he's stealing from his friends.
He promises himself in classic embezzler fashion that he will figure out how to pay for Rattan's bracelet later.
Just buy some time.
He thinks I'll just extort more merchants next week. It'll be fine. It's the ultimate delusion-robbing Peter to pay Paul, completely convinced you can outsmart the mathematics of debt.
But the math always catches up.
Always.
And it catches up with a vengeance. Because Rattan isn't just going to forget about hundreds of rupees. She starts asking for her bracelet. The other jewelers are still demanding the remaining balances. Ramanath is suffocating.
He is drowning.
And this pushes him to the breaking point, a moment that changes him from a liar into a felon. Walk us through the fateful day at the toll office.
Ramanath is sitting at his desk, sweating, knowing his world is about to collapse. And then a crime of sheer opportunity presents itself.
What happens?
The head cashier of the municipal office has an emergency and leaves work early. He leaves the desk unlocked. Inside the drawer is a massive stack of the day's official municipal receipts.
Yeah.
Government money, taxpayer funds.
And Ramanath is sitting right there.
Driven by absolute blind desperation, he reaches into the drawer. He takes the public funds. He shoves them in his pocket, leaves the office, and uses the government's money to pay off his most aggressive personal creditors.
He has officially crossed the line. He isn't just a toxic husband or a petty thief anymore. He is a full-blown felon who has stolen from the state.
Yes.
He must feel an immediate sense of relief, right? The creditors are finally quiet.
The relief lasts for maybe a fraction of a second, because the crushing reality of what he has just done instantly crashes down on him.
The audit.
Exactly. He knows with absolute certainty that the head cashier will balance the accounts the very next morning at 9 a.m. The missing money will be discovered immediately, and he has absolutely zero ways to replace those funds.
So he's looking at serious prison time. But knowing Ramanath, is it the fear of the jail cell that breaks him, or is it something else?
It's the ego. The thought of hard labor in a prison cell is terrifying, yes, but what truly shatters his psyche is the thought of Jalpa.
How she'll view him.
He cannot bear the idea that his beautiful wife, whom he has spent years convincing he is a wealthy prince, will wake up tomorrow, look at him, and see a common thief, a liar, and a disgraced embezzler.
He simply cannot face the death of his own illusion.
Yeah.
So in the ultimate act of cowardice, he runs.
He abandons his wife, his family, everything.
Where does he go?
He flees in the dead of night to the train station, intending to buy a ticket to Calcutta, a massive, sprawling metropolis where he can disappear into the millions and never face the consequences of his actions.
And here is where Premchand delivers what might be the darkest, most bitter piece of irony in the entire novel. Ramanath is at the train station. Keep in mind, this is a man who has spent the last year brilliantly manipulating and cheating his wife, his father, his friends, the merchants at the toll booth, and the British colonial government.
Yes.
What happens to the master manipulator at the ticket counter?
It is poetic justice at its finest. Ramanath is terrified, looking over his shoulder for the police. The line for tickets is incredibly long. He is desperate to get on the train immediately.
But what does he do?
He takes out a 50 rupee note, which again is a massive sum of money, and hands it to a random station porter. He tells the porter, "Go to the front, buy my ticket, keep the change, just hurry."
And let me guess. The porter takes the money, slips into the dense crowd,
And vanishes completely. Poof, gone.
that is hilarious. I mean, tragic, but hilarious.
Yeah.
You really have to appreciate the sheer karma of it. The guy who outsmarted the government gets rolled by a guy carrying suitcases within 5 minutes of going on the run.
Exactly. The master manipulator is instantly, effortlessly cheated the very second he makes himself truly vulnerable.
So what does he do now that he's broke?
He is left utterly penniless. He has to sneak onto the train and hide in a dark corner, jumping at every shadow, terrified the conductor will throw him off.
He must be at rock bottom.
During that long, dark train ride, he reaches his absolute lowest point. He even contemplates suicide. He thinks about throwing himself into the Ganges River and ending it all.
But does he?
But true to his core flaw, he lacks the courage to even do that. He's a completely broken man, stripped of his fake wealth, his stolen status, and his dignity.
So he arrives in Calcutta with literally nothing but the clothes on his back. Starving, terrified, and homeless. This brings us to a fascinating part of the story because Calcutta is a completely different world.
It is.
And the first person he forms a bond with is a man named Devadin. Who is Devadin and why is he so important to the story?
Devadin is one of the most beautiful, deeply moving characters Premchand ever wrote. He provides the ultimate blinding contrast to everything Ramanath is.
How so?
Devadin is an old, uneducated street vendor. He sells cheap, everyday items from a small, rickety cart on the noisy streets of Calcutta.
But he isn't just a simple vendor, is he? You mentioned there is a deep historical tragedy attached to him.
Yes, and we need to contextualize this for you, the listener. The story is set against the backdrop of the Indian independence struggle, specifically the Swadeshi movement.
What was the Swadeshi movement?
This was a massive political movement where Indians boycotted imported British goods to economically strike at the colonial empire. It was dangerous revolutionary work.
Okay.
Devadin had two young, vibrant sons who threw themselves into this movement, and they were both killed as a result of their participation.
Oh my God, so he gave the ultimate sacrifice for a cause bigger than himself.
He lost his entire future. Devadin has every reason in the world to be bitter, angry, deceitful, and cynical.
But he isn't.
No. Yet he is the most full-of-life character in the book. He laughs constantly, he makes jokes with his customers, and he lives a fiercely, proudly honest life with his elderly wife, Jago.
That is beautiful.
They live in a tiny, squalid, suffocating room above the chaotic streets. They sleep on a torn, dirty rug.
Yeah.
But their lives are profoundly authentic.
That contrast is staggering. Devadin lives in actual squalor, but his soul is clean. Raman had a comfortable, safe home in Prayag, but he turned it into a psychological prison of debt and fake luxury because he couldn't handle the truth of his own existence. Surely seeing Devadin's noble poverty shakes Ramanath awake, right? Does he learn from this old man's authenticity?
It is incredibly frustrating, but no. He learns absolutely nothing.
Seriously.
Even in hiding, even while relying entirely on the charity and the meager meals provided by this poor, grieving vendor, Ramanath cannot stop performing. He continues to lie.
What does he lie about now?
He tells Devadin a completely fabricated backstory. He claims he is a high-caste, pure Brahmin scholar who had to flee his wealthy home because of complicated family politics and a demanding, unreasonable wife.
He blames Jalpa, the woman he stole from. And he weaponizes this fake, high-caste status against these poor people who were sheltering him.
It is infuriating to read, but it is so psychologically true to his character. By claiming to be a high-caste Brahmin, he manipulates the social conditioning of Devadin and Jago.
So they treat him like a VIP.
They revere him. He gets the best portions of their meager food, and crucially, he completely avoids doing any manual labor to help them out.
He just sits there.
He lets the elderly woman Jago carry heavy loads and run the shop in the blistering heat, while he sits around in the shade playing the role of the deep contemplative holy ascetic. He is destitute, but he is still utterly obsessed with unearned status.
There is this one specific scene involving a blanket that I think perfectly, hilariously, and tragically captures his total delusion. Walk us through the blanket scene.
It's a masterclass in character writing. Winter is approaching in Calcutta, and it gets surprisingly cold at night.
Okay.
Ramanath is freezing. He is sleeping on Devadin's torn rug, shivering violently every night. He desperately needs warm clothing.
Makes sense.
One day, a wealthy merchant comes to the neighborhood. As an act of religious charity, the merchant is giving away premium, thick, expensive woolen blankets to the local beggars and the poor.
Perfect. Problem solved. Ramanath gets a blanket.
The merchant sees Ramanath. He sees the fake, elaborate Brahmin mark Ramanath has painted on his forehead.
Boy.
Impressed by this supposedly holy man, the merchant specifically approaches Ramanath and offers him one of the absolute best, thickest blankets for free.
Amazing luck.
Ramanath looks at the blanket. He looks at the freezing night ahead. And he refuses it.
What? Why? Why would you refuse a blanket when you were freezing on a dirt floor?
Out of a sudden, bizarre flash of misplaced toxic pride, Ramanath's internal monologue goes something like, I am a wealthy man from a good family. I am a Brahmin. I will not be seen standing in a line accepting charity alongside common street beggars.
That is insane. His ego flares up, and he rejects the one thing that could save him from suffering.
He does. But here is the twisted irony of the scene. By refusing the expensive blanket, he actually elevates his status even further in the eyes of the local community.
How so?
The street vendors look at him and think, wow, look at this incredibly holy man. He has truly renounced all worldly comforts. He doesn't even want a blanket. They revere him even more.
And Ramanath absorbs this admiration.
Yes. His ego is so deeply, fatally ingrained that even when his physical body is suffering, he prioritizes the public performance of superiority over his own basic survival.
He would literally rather freeze to death than admit he is poor. But as we know, performances can't last forever. The curtain always falls. And Ramanath's curtain falls hard in Calcutta. This brings us to the darkest chapter of his life, the ultimate betrayal. Things get very dark here.
So Ramanath has been living in paranoia, jumping every time he sees a police uniform. Eventually, his luck runs out.
Yes.
A sharp-eyed police inspector recognizes his face from a wanted poster circulated from Poyog regarding the embezzled municipal funds. They quietly corner him in an alley and detain him.
Yeah, you think this is it. He goes to jail, story over. But this is where Premchand shifts the novel from a domestic tragedy about jewelry into a profound, terrifying political and moral crisis. The police in Calcutta don't just throw him in a dark cell, do they?
No, because they are incredibly shrewd. They sit him down in an interrogation room and they study him. They quickly analyze his psychology and find his fatal weak point.
Which is?
They realize that Ramanath isn't actually afraid of the physical punishment of the law. He isn't afraid of a jail cell.
Then what is he afraid of?
He is absolutely paralyzingly terrified of public shaming. He is terrified of his family, his friends, and especially his wife discovering that he is a common, petty criminal.
So they know exactly which button to press.
Yeah.
And the police have a major problem of their own that they need solving, right?
Exactly. There has been a massive political dacoity case in the region, an armed robbery connected to a group of underground revolutionaries fighting the British.
Okay.
The police are under immense pressure from their superiors to close the case. They need a credible witness to secure convictions, hang these men, and get themselves commendations and promotions, but they don't have enough evidence.
So they look at this terrified, ego-driven embezzler, and they offer him a devil's bargain.
They slide a metaphorical contract across the table. They tell Ramanath, look, we know about the money you stole in Prague, but here's the deal. We will completely drop your embezzlement charges.
Well, clean slate.
We will bury the paperwork. We will make absolutely sure that your beautiful wife back home never finds out you stole a single rupee. Your image will remain spotless.
You have everything he wants.
And not only that, while you stay in Calcutta, we will provide you with a life of absolute luxury. We will put you up in a beautiful private bungalow. We will hire a private Kashmiri cook to make you whatever you want. We will give you a generous monthly allowance. You will live like a king.
It sounds like a dream come true for a guy who just wants to pretend to be rich. But the price of this gilded cage is monstrous. What do they want in return?
The catch is horrific. In exchange for this perfect, secret, luxurious life, Ramanath must agree to become a false informer for the state.
A false informer.
They want him to take the stand in a highly publicized court case, swear an oath on holy texts, and confidently identify a lineup of completely innocent men claiming he saw them commit this violent revolutionary robbery.
They're asking him to commit state-sponsored murder via perjury. If he testifies, these men will hang. Does he struggle with this decision? Does he fight back?
The tragedy is how quickly he folds. To save his own skin, to protect his precious fragile reputation back home, and to enjoy the immediate physical comforts of that bungalow, Ramanath agrees.
He just says yes.
He agrees to send innocent men to the gallows. It is the absolute zenith of his cowardice. He moves into the police-funded bungalow. He eats the rich food. He even takes up with a beautiful local courtesan named Zora, spending his allowance on her. He becomes entirely, thoroughly, morally bankrupt. He has traded his actual soul for comfort and secrecy.
That is nauseating. When you lay it out like that, it perfectly encapsulates his core flaw.
It is the ultimate manifestation of his entire life's pattern. Think about it. From the very beginning, Ramanath has always chosen the path of least resistance.
That's true.
He dropped out of college because studying was uncomfortable. He lied to Jalpa about his wealth because telling the truth felt inadequate. He stole from his sleeping wife rather than face her disappointment.
Right.
Every single choice he has ever made was designed to avoid discomfort and protect his ego. And now that exact same cowardly mechanism allows him to justify participating in the murder of innocent strangers just so he doesn't have to face the music for stealing a few hundred rupees from a toll booth.
It makes you sick to your stomach. You just want to reach into the book and shake him. But thankfully, remarkably, the story does not end in that bungalow in Calcutta. Because while Ramanath is descending into darkness, a massive light is igniting back home.
Yes, a massive turning point.
This brings us to the turning point of the novel Jalpa's Awakening. The focus shifts back to Prayag. What happens when the truth finally comes out?
It hits like a hurricane. The police show up at the house in Prayag asking about the embezzled funds.
Oh boy.
The jewelers, Gangu, and the others realize Ramanath has fled, so they show up at the door demanding the thousands of rupees they are owed.
The gig is up.
Jalpa, sitting in her room, finally discovers the horrifying, unvarnished truth. She learns about the crushing debts. She learns about the stolen municipal money. She realizes the thief who stole her jewelry was her own husband, and she learns that he has cowardly fled into the night, abandoning her to face the mob.
Now, based on everything we know about Jalpa from the beginning, the girl who threw a tantrum over a glass necklace, the bride who smashed a holy statue over a missing piece of gold, you would expect her to completely lose her mind.
You would.
You expect her to crumble, scream, and curse her fate that she is married to a destitute, thieving fugitive.
That is exactly what the reader expects, but Premchand subverts it brilliantly. Instead of crumbling, Jalpa undergoes one of the most profound, powerful character transformations in literary history.
What happens to her?
The absolute crucible of this public humiliation acts like a furnace, and it burns away every single ounce of her superficiality.
She wakes up.
She wakes up entirely. The woman who was obsessively, singularly focused on acquiring gold takes action.
What does she do?
She goes to her trunk. She takes out every single piece of jewelry she owns, the bangles, the heavy rings, the earrings, even the beloved pieces she had kept hidden away since childhood. She gathers it all up, goes to the market, and she sells every last piece of it.
Wow, every piece. And what does she do with the money? Does she run away too?
No. She uses the cash to meticulously, systematically repay every single one of Ramanath's debts.
All of them?
All of them. She walks into Gangu's shop and pays him off. She goes to the municipal board and repays the stolen taxpayer funds. She clears his name entirely.
That is incredible.
In that moment, she realizes a profound truth. The jewelry, the obsession with status, the desperate need for pretension, it was all a toxic poison. It was the exact poison that corrupted her husband's weak mind and ultimately destroyed her life. By selling it, she is purging the poison.
That is such a powerful image. She is literally buying back his honor by sacrificing her ego. But her transformation isn't just about paying off debts. It extends to how she treats other people.
It does.
You mentioned earlier there was a subplot involving Ratan, the wealthy woman from the Tea Party. How does Ratan fit into Jalpa's Awakening?
It's a tragic but vital subplot. Shortly after Ramanath flees, Ratan's elderly wealthy husband dies suddenly, and crucially, he dies without leaving a signed will. Immediately, her husband's greedy, vicious nephew swoops in. He claims the entire estate legally kicks Ratan out of the massive mansion and leaves this formerly high society socialite utterly penniless on the street.
So Ratan experiences the exact same sudden plunge into poverty that Jalpa did. And who is there to catch her?
Jalpa,
Yeah.
Jalpa, who has just lost her husband, her reputation, and her entire safety net, immediately opens her modest door and takes Ratan in.
That is beautiful.
She supports her emotionally and shares whatever meager resources she has left. It shows that Jalpa has discovered true substance and true empathy qualities completely divorced from material wealth.
She has become an absolute force of nature, and she isn't just going to sit around in Prayag waiting for a letter. She wants to find Ramanath. But he disappeared into the crowds of Calcutta. How does she possibly track him down in an era before phones and the internet?
It's a brilliant little piece of detective work. Jalpa happens to be looking at a newspaper that gets distributed nationally. She sees a chess puzzle published in the entertainment section.
A chess puzzle.
Now remember, Ramanath spent his college dropout days obsessively playing chess. Jalpa looks at the incredibly specific, arrogant playing style of the submitted solution, and she instantly recognizes it.
Wow.
It's Ramanath's handwriting and his style. She uses this tiny, obscure clue, contacts a newspaper, and tracks his general location to Calcutta.
She is relentless.
Yeah.
So she travels all the way to Calcutta.
She does. And through her inquiries, she eventually finds the neighborhood where he first stayed. She finds Devadin and Jaga's little street cart. She stays with them, and slowly, the horrifying, complete truth comes out.
What does she learn?
She learns from the locals that Ramanath isn't just hiding from his debts. She learns that he is living in a luxurious bungalow provided by the corrupt police, and that he is preparing to give false, damning testimony to hang innocent men in the Decordy case.
She must be absolutely repulsed. The man she cleared debts for is now preparing to commit murder by perjury. This leads to what has to be the most explosive confrontation in the book. Set the stage for us.
It is the emotional climax of the entire novel. Ramanath, living in his gilded cage, somehow hears a rumor that his beautiful wife Jalpa has arrived in Calcutta and is staying in Devadin's squalid little room.
Oh boy.
He is terrified but also desperate to see her, so he goes to visit her. And what do you think he brings with him to win back the wife he abandoned?
Please don't tell me he brings jewelry.
He brings a bag of cash and a massive, real heavy jeweled necklace.
You have to be kidding me.
The police gave it to him. They knew his wife was in town, and they didn't want her ruining their star witness, so they told him, take this gold, go buy her silence and her affection.
That is insulting.
After everything that has happened, the theft, the flight, the perjury, Ramanath still fundamentally believes that he can buy Jalpa's respect and erase his sins with a piece of gold. He has learned absolutely nothing.
How does Jalpa react when he pulls this necklace out in that tiny, dirty room?
Her reaction is legendary. She looks at the glittering gold jewelry as if it is a venomous snake. She recoils from it. She rejects it with absolute bone-chilling disgust.
Good for her.
And she delivers a monologue that just cuts him down to his very marrow. She looks him in the eye and tells him, if you had been arrested for your own crimes, if you had stood up like a man and gone to a squalid jail for stealing that municipal money, I would have worshipped you. She says, I would have waited for you for 20 years and washed your feet when you got out. But you bought your luxury and your freedom with the blood of innocent men. You are a coward, Ramanath, and I despise you.
Boom. That is a stunning rebuke. She completely dismantles his entire worldview in one breath.
Exactly. He thought his entire life was about protecting his image in her eyes. He thought he was sparing her the shame of being a prisoner's wife. But she brutally shows him that true respect is born from integrity and facing the consequences of your actions, not from comfort, secrecy, or stolen status.
And the most amazing thing about Jalpa is that she doesn't just preach morality, she actually lives it. What does she do to prove to him what real courage looks like?
She finds out the identity of Dinesh, one of the innocent men that Ramanath's lies are about to send to the gallows. She finds Dinesh's family living in the slums of Calcutta.
Okay.
Because Dinesh has been labeled a violent revolutionary, his family has been completely ostracized. They were starving, terrified, and destitute. Jalpa, the former aspiring socialite, walks right into their home.
And she helps them.
She takes over their care. She scrubs their dirty dishes. She brings them food. She sits with Dinesh's weeping wife and comforts her. She forces Ramanath to watch her do this.
That is so powerful.
She shows him exactly what true courage, true atonement, and actual moral action redemption look like in the real world?
It's incredibly powerful. She is holding up a mirror to his soul, and the reflection is hideous. And this brings us to the final act, redemption and conclusion. Seeing his wife, whom he idolizes, care for the family he is about to destroy, finally does the trick, doesn't it?
It acts as the final hammer blow that completely shatters Ramanath's ego. Jalpa's absolute moral clarity and her utter rejection of his excuses strips away the last of his delusions.
He finally sees it.
He watches her scrub the pots of the woman he is about to make a widow, and he finally realizes the terrifying, bottomless depth of his own degradation. The illusion is gone. He finally sees himself clearly as the monster he has become.
And realizing you are the monster is the first agonizing step to becoming a human again. What does he do? Does he actually step up?
He does. And it leads to his final, genuinely brave act. For the very first time in his entire life, Ramanath chooses the hard, painful right over the easy, comfortable wrong.
What happens at the trial?
The trial is reaching its climax. He walks out of his luxurious police bungalow and he walks into the crowded judge's court during the final hearings.
Does he try to sneak a letter to the judge?
No, he doesn't sneak. He stands up in the middle of open court in front of the judge, the lawyers, the furious police inspectors, and the public. He takes the stand and he entirely comprehensively retracts his previous statement.
He confesses everything.
He exposes the massive police coercion. He details the bribes. He tells them about the secret bungalow, the courtesan, the threats, and the bag of gold they gave him for his wife.
That is basically signing his own death warrant with the corrupt authorities.
He knows it. By doing this, he knows he is risking extensive, brutal jail time for his original embezzlement and now for perjury. And he knows he will face the unleashed, violent wrath of the humiliated police force.
But he does it anyway.
He sacrifices himself to save the innocent men.
And does it work?
Yeah.
Do the innocent men go free?
It works. His testimony is so detailed and so obviously born of a guilty conscience that the court cannot ignore it. The judge recognizes the massive police manipulation.
Thank goodness.
The charges against the revolutionaries are dropped, and the innocent men are saved. The ugly truth finally comes to light and cleanses the wound.
I have goosebumps. That is a hell of an arc for a guy who started out borrowing his buddy's shoes to look cool. Where do we find them at the very end of the novel? Does he go to prison for years?
Because of the political sensitivity of the exposed police corruption, there is a complex legal fallout, but ultimately, the ending Premchand gives us is incredibly serene. It is so completely different from the chaotic, noisy, anxiety-filled pursuit of wealth we saw in the beginning of the book. The novel ends with a beautiful, quiet scene on the banks of the Ganges River, back near Prayag.
Facade.
It is evening. Ramanath Jalpa, the old vendor Devadin, and Ramanath's honest father, Dayanath, are all living together in a small, incredibly simple rural village.
A far cry from the mansions and the motor cars. What is Ramanath doing with his life now? Is he looking for another government toll booth job?
Not at all. Ramanath has completely abandoned the pursuit of power and money. He is spending his days reading thick books on basic traditional medicine.
He becomes a doctor.
He uses what he learns to treat the poor farmers and villagers of the region for free. He has found true peace and true purpose. He is far, far removed from the toxic, suffocating pursuit of status and fake wealth that almost killed his soul.
He finally grew up.
He finally became a man of genuine substance, a man worthy of Jalpa's respect, but only after losing absolutely everything he thought mattered.
It's a profoundly moving conclusion. Premchand is telling us that redemption is always possible, no matter how far down the dark path you've gone.
But that redemption has a strict price. It requires the complete and total annihilation of the ego. You have to actively stop caring about how the world sees you and start caring intensely about what is actually true, kind, and just.
That is an incredibly powerful takeaway. And it brings us to our final thought for you, the listener, to mull over today. When we hear the word corruption, we almost always picture something distant. We think of dark alleys or shady corporate boardrooms or politicians making dirty deals in capital cities.
Right, out there somewhere.
But Gaban shows us something much more terrifying. It shows us that corruption can start right in our own living rooms. It starts the very moment we value how we are seen by others more than who we actually are in the dark.
It is a question that demands deep, uncomfortable self-reflection from all of us. The chains of pretension we wear are incredibly heavy, but we have to remember that they are entirely self-imposed.
Exactly. So ask yourself today, what Chandrahaar, what shiny fake necklace are you currently chasing in your own life? What invisible debts, whether they are financial, emotional, or moral, are you taking on just to maintain an illusion for people who don't actually truly matter to your happiness?
A great question to leave on.
If this deep dive made you think differently about desire deception and the true hidden costs of status, please hit that subscribe button for the Simplified Summary channel. Share this with a friend who loves a deep, intense psychological story and discuss it with them. Ask them what their Chandrahaar is. Your support is what allows us to keep digging into these incredible masterpieces and sharing them with you. Thank you so much for joining us on this intense journey into the depths of Gaban. Until next time, keep reading and keep actively questioning the illusions around you.